Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, we are back here in the studios in Memphis, Cherry Farm. It is Saturday. The College Roundtable is alive. We got a great lineup for you today. Bo Carter is going to be with us here in just a second from out in Dallas. National Football Foundation, Baseball Writers of America. And he's been to a few media days over the years. SEC, Southwest Conference, Big 12, you name it. They're all a lot of fun. We'll be joined also. Eddie Murphy is going to check in with us from Memphis, talking about the Ed Murphy Track and Field Classic coming up August 4th and 5th. In Memphis, it's going to be held over at Rhodes College. And it is absolutely it's not just a national event, it's an international event. He'll talk more about that when he joins us, okay? And Kevin Scarbinsky checks in with us as well. The Birmingham Lede Basketball Writers Hall of Fame. He was inducted back in April, the Final Four weekend down in Houston. I think he's the first ever writer from the state of Alabama to be inducted into the Basketball Writers Hall of Fame. And he certainly deserves it. One of the good guys, one of the great writers. He'll make you think. Also, we'll be joined by Larry Gautier, Larry of the Orange Bowl Committee down there in Miami, Florida. Yes, sir. Larry's going to talk about the Orange Bowl and future of college football. And Buddy Martin, GatorBaitMedia.com, will check in with us as well. In hour number 2, we had a lot of fun being on his show during the week and talking about all the teams, especially his beloved Florida Gators. We had a lot of fun doing that. And Bo, I'm hoping Eddie can join us a little bit earlier today. His dad, Ed Murphy, won the Mile 3 back at Tennessee. Yeah. And was one of Johnny Majors and him were very close friends, and Tennessee Vols for life for sure. But boy, it's really amazing. This is the 7th year of the event, and just the growth. They are really, really waking up the echoes, you might say, to borrow the Notre Dame tagline. But it's just a massive. Last year they had the pole vault down on Beale Street, and it was absolutely packed. And I'm glad none of the people down there that were drinking all those 32-ounce long beers were participating in the pole vault. But absolutely incredible event. And Bo, you've watched in sports, and we've just been up at media days, and we took off yesterday, and we're back today. There's interest is in college football is massive, but we've got to rebuild and bring back. American tennis. We got to get the numbers back there. Track and field, absolutely we've got to. But Eddie said something yesterday to me that I love. He goes, a lot of these runners that wrap themselves up in the red, white, and blue and the flag and love America, they're working 2 or 3 jobs just so they can run. Mm-hmm. Those are people that I love to talk about. You're a great writer. You also teach about writing. Where did people miss out? A lot of these young, clickbait, soundbite, sensationalist, Howard Stern's funny. After a while, potty talk gets old.
That's right, exactly. And hey, Rob, to your point about the track and field, where I grew up, Sheffield, Alabama, had a guy for a long time. The late Bill Whitlock was like one of the best track coaches in Alabama, and they would bring UMS. Yeah. No, one of my mentors there when I was competing there, but they would bring MUS down. They'd have a Nashville schools. They'd have a big relay, sort of like a mini Texas relays down there every year. And I can always remember those pole vaulters from Memphis. They were using the aluminum poles and vaulting about 12 feet, which was unheard of in Alabama in the 60s and 70s. So. But it's really great to see the
and you think about
the Olympic year too. So big deal.
Yeah. Well, and Jesse Owens is from Sheffield, the Quad Cities, and so that would have to have been Gil Whitlock's dad or uncle that was the coach of that track team.
They weren't related. They probably distant cousins, but it was Bill and Gil. Yeah. Gil was captain of the golf team when Bill Whitlock was there. So they. A lot of people thought it was they were related, or his uncle or somebody.
Yeah, I got it. And you look at the growth of sports in America. You go back, and I'm not saying it just because it was right when I was coming out of school and going into college, but 1980, Herschel Walker, and then Marcus Dupree, and then Bo Jackson. Those big 6'2", 225 plus pound guys that could run faster than anybody, and they would just run you over. And they came out with tearaway jerseys, which they got rid of after Herschel's freshman year, maybe his sophomore year. But Bo, the track and field community, I say it's your insurance policy for every sport you play. Yeah. Do you see now with college football more of a specialization as opposed to a guy that says, give me the rock 50 times, I'll run it?
Yeah, it really is. And you've seen this too, Rob. The travel teams in baseball, basketball, especially basketball. The AAU and the travel teams or whatever. Too. Heck, when you and I were in high school, and I go back further than you, that we had people playing 3 and 4 sports or whatever. And go right. One guy would go right from football practice to go running the relays that night in track or whatever too. So it just seemed like. The kids were, I'm not trying to sound like an old fogey here, but the kids were more well-rounded.
No, not at all.
So it's good to see these guys, especially, you still see in college a lot of baseball, football guys, on the major college level, and then many of them running indoor track. Remember Willie Galt, the guys like that at Tennessee, and but heck, Bo Jackson and Herschel ran indoor track and outdoor track for that matter. So they took pads off and went to the thin clads, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. So it's you're right about it. The multi-sport athletes are the best ones. They have the longest careers, I think. Let's talk about SEC Media Days. Last week you and Ken Capps had been at Big 12 Media Days down in Dallas. What were your takeaways from the 14 coaches that got up there, other than the fact that a lot of them didn't want to be there? But you know what? They're getting paid a lot of money. They ought to have fun with it. And maybe there's a way, talk about SEC said he's been to like every one of them since the mid 80s, but maybe one or two. Said everybody used to get around literally a round table and you just talk with the coaches. Is that a better way to do it than the big format that they have now? Because the SEC does everything right. They do it big time.
I guess it's just more for time saving than anything else, like you're saying, because one of the big issues now, and Ken and I were talking about this at Big 12 and also the point of SEC, ESPN, sorry, America's major programming network there and big contract for the Big 12 and SEC. They want the coaches to run through about 4 or 5 different. They have a thing where they have them on the lights and smoke, and what you've seen all these ESPN promos or whatever. SEC football, the best ever, and then that you've got bless her heart, Heather Dinich or somebody wanting to get her one-on-ones, and then our two friends Ryan McGee and his partner there, needing one-on-one time. Marty McGee, Marty Smith and Ryan McGee.
Marty Smith and Ryan McGee,
two of my favorites.
There are, absolutely. And I talked to Marty Smith, and he's going to come on the show here with us soon. And I told him, I said, I love the genuineness of your show. And I said, the Cherry Farm is ready to donate a mount. I'll donate one of mine, duck or something, to put on that set, a real one. Said that's what we need. And they love NASCAR too. I mean, they're more like most people, when they're talking about sports. But you're right. It's the coaches, everything is scripted and choreographed. It's kind of, let's knock it all out in one place. But I think as we go forward, the coaches would be wise to interact more with the fans. But on the flip side, Bo, you think we can do anything about the recruiting? The coaches, I'm all about hard work, but there's got to be some off time for the coaches and their families. And they get paid a lot of money, okay? But where's the balance here?
I know you're exactly right. I loved Kirby Smart said he went to South Haven to watch his son play travel baseball. So that took a little time off. They're good about Bob Stoops at Oklahoma used to always say, hey, we're out of here. We may come in at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, but we're out of here at 6. So you can get home to see your wife and kids during football season, eat dinner with, have a family meal or whatever too. So that, and the tough part again, NCAA transfer portal, man, you gotta re-recruit your own players every year. So in fact, at the Big 12 media days, the West Virginia coach said he was down on the beach and was texting with their PR guy about some issues or whatever. So, man, it's 7/24, 365 for coaches. Really, I mean, they're well compensated, but it is a chore.
Yeah, and I think that might be why people wonder why the coaches there's not a lot of contact. But going to practice, you do build relationships. And I know Dudley Dawson was on here with us. He's with us every week, hogville.net over in the northwest corner of Arkansas in Springdale, Fayetteville. And he said that Sam Pittman, they get to go to practice. And he'll come over and he'll say, Bo, how's your wife? And Rob, how's your wife? How's the kids? He knows a lot about you. And I think that's why he's popular. I mean, look, Arkansas last year lost 4 games by, I think, a combined 9 points.
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened if KJ Jefferson wouldn't have been running the ball so much and he would have been present against Mississippi State on the road, or he was healthy and present in that LSU game when they came up there to Fayetteville the week after beating Alabama in overtime? LSU got away with like a 13-10 win. A lot of what ifs, but now it's year 4. Hey, obviously you want to win them all.
Yeah, and I want to compliment Coach Pittman. He's kind of the man of the people up there or whatever too. Reminds you a lot of Frank Broyles was sort of the corporate coach. Remember, you had Barry Switzer and Joe Gibbs and all that. He was like the corporate leader with the great vice presidents under him or whatever. But I really like Sam Pittman. Like you said, he served he was 56, 57 years old when he became a head coach. He served his time for about 25 or 30 years and waited it out. And you love to see people like that and hope he succeeds. He's really a good guy and a really good football coach.
Yeah, he really is. And the recruiting is really picking up. I think another one too, I was really, Josh Heupel. We got to talk to Joe Milton, his quarterback, who's expected to be the quarterback, and very impressed. And I asked him a question about what's he improved the most on his game, and the short and intermediate passes. And he said, I tried to improve on everything, but that is where, if you watch him play, he's got a strong arm. And I said, you've got one of the strongest arms in college football. And he said, the strongest arm. I like this. He's confident. And man, it was a mob, the Gator press contingent. And I tell you another one, Zach Arnett, absolute confidence, man. And he talked about his relationship. He's from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And, that's where Joe Lee Dunn, I think, had coached and developed the 3-3-5 defense. But Zach raved about the Mississippi State fan base, the loyalty of their fans, just all around. It was really fun to watch that and hear him talk and what he learned from Mike Leach, because being a defensive coordinator when your head coach is Mike Leach, that's tough. That puts a lot of pressure on you. And if you can and he did a pretty damn good job. I mean, State won 9 games last year, and they, you've got your team scoring like an air raid offense can. It can be, feast or famine. But I think he's going to be. I think he'll do well as a head coach. He's a young guy, but he's grown up in these offenses having to coach defense. That right there tells me he's not going to be in shock when he gets out there on the football field. I mean, you watched a lot of coaches that were coordinators, assistants, take the job as head coach. Do you think most of them or any of them have any idea of what's about to change?
It's that is tough when you've got your defense, even like the twos, second team versus first team, has to go against the air raid offense. And it puts a ton of Rob, you hit the nail on the head. Puts a ton of pressure on the defense when the offense is scoring, you got Will Rogers, one of those guys throwing 4 passes for 25 yards, taking it right down the field. Then the defense has to, they're sitting on the bench for about 3 minutes. They got to get back up and, perform again or whatever too. But a lot of people are crediting the Arnett, with their defense, I think went from being like, in the hundreds in the NCAA statistics down in the 40s and 50s. And man, that makes a difference, these close games.
It does. And you look back in Mike Leach's time at Mississippi State, they're averaging 44 and 55 and then 67 yards a game running the ball. And those kind of numbers, that's one carry, I mean, in theory, that's you can have a touchdown of 66 yards. That's going to happen. And I think he's going to want to run the ball more as the coach at Mississippi State, because he's a defensive coordinator and he's going, I know what my big guys on the front 7 need. They've got to be rotated. But another one, Lane Kiffin. Kiffin took a lot of slack. He looked like he'd been out on an all-nighter and all. That's Lane Kiffin. I mean, he is his own man. But look at his track record. Look at the success that he's had. And took Blake Sims, who'd been a quarterback, wide receiver, running back. I think he was an analyst briefly. Then he came back to the football. I mean, he was able to turn him into a quarterback that got him to the playoffs and win the SEC. He did it in 2015 with Jacob Coker, who transferred from Florida State. No one thought that guy was any good. And he did it in 2016 with the freshman Jalen Hurts. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. Bo Carter, National Football Foundation. Eddie Murphy will join us in a second. Got a big show in line. Stay tuned.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Man, we're talking sporty with Bo Football Foundation and also Baseball Writers of America. Bo, I mentioned that about Lane Kiffin. And if you were the sports information director at Ole Miss, what would you tell him? Say, just be yourself, be accessible. I mean, everybody is an expert right now.
You're right.
You there?
We were laughing. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
We were frozen up there. Bo, I'm saying, if you're the sports information director and you've been there, you've been in that role, what would you tell Lane Kiffin? All these critics, everybody's an expert. He didn't have a tie on. He looks like he's been out all night. He loves to go to the beach. He's a happy guy. I mean, I was sitting right there listening to him, and I know people in Oxford that know him, and he's having a ball. His daughter's in school at Ole Miss. I mean, what's not to like?
He's right, Coach Kiffin. Rob, we were laughing when, and by the way, happy birthday. I just saw that. Congratulations. You
Okay.
made another one.
I'm having trouble hearing, Bo. You may be muted.
Okay. No, I'm back here. Can you hear me now?
I mean, when you win games, yeah. Bo, are you hearing us? I'm not.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you hear me okay? Or
Lane
okay.
Kiffin.
Whoops.
Thank you.
Are we back on?
Mhm.
Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
But when you're at media, yeah. Oh yeah, this is good. When you're at media days as a sports information director, what are you trying to tell them? We're here. And what would you be telling your coach, Bo, when he's dealing with the media? Just be yourself or be something you're not. But you can't worry about what everybody says, can you?
No, we were. Can you hear me okay now, Rob?
Yeah.
You got me? Okay, good.
Yeah.
We were laughing.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, good. When Mike Leach got hired at Mississippi State and Kiffin, we were saying, how'd you like to be a fly on the wall at the first SEC coaches meeting when you got Nick Saban and those two guys together? It would be a comedy show, but no, you're right. You tell your coach, be yourself, be entertaining. A lot of them are wrong with coach speak, et cetera. So it's been a lot of fun. It always is.
Yeah, who's going to be there for good comments and commentary? You like having coaches that are there that speak their mind, don't you? It's boring if you don't.
Yes, it really is. What was Leach last year? The famous 7 words. He said, well,
yeah,
I'm here. Let's take questions and answers, whatever. Too. So his opening statement was fairly brief, but anyway, and he, they were talking about he was having health problems all year, so he might not have been feeling well when he was there last year.
Yeah,
he's always entertaining, even after the post game things with Leach were always hilarious, and Kiffin too, for that matter.
Yeah, well, there's the 7. There's this. Yeah, well, there's the 7-word opening statement of Mike Leach last year at Media Days, and then there's the 10 words that Ronald Reagan talked about. Hi, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you.
Yeah,
that's we have had so many power outages, internet delays. I'm surprised the world is still spinning. There are so many people in this area without power, without internet, and city of Germantown, somehow or another, they got diesel into the water supply.
Oh God!
And somebody sent me a meme edited, and it's a picture of the water tower, Germantown, and it has the thing like you'd see at a gas pump, diesel $4.69 a gallon. It's like, holy cow, that's a mess, and they're working on getting that taken care of. But Bo, we talk about these media days. I think they're great, and if you think about like putting together the logistics of somebody coming in or a group of people. I got to talk to Herb Vincent and I think and Chuck Dunlap and just the different people there. There's so many people that make something like this happen. There were over 1,200 people there at SEC Media Days this year. And I mean, they were just Radio Row. I think it was Tuesday morning that they had, Radio Row was off. Everything was off. They lost the internet. They lost Wi-Fi there for a few minutes. And the chief engineer was running around. By the way, I think he's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for getting the internet back on because everything, I mean, it wasn't just that. It's everybody there kind of frozen in time. So that's a lot of pressure on the bandwidth there. But when you've been at Media Days, you were just at Big 12 Media Days the week before. There's interest everywhere. But is that something that they rehearse? Like, what if we lose power? What if we lose the internet or whatever? What are we going to do? They have generators and all there. I'm sure they're ready for everything, aren't they?
They mostly, you see all the engineers from AT&T. Of course, AT&T Stadium, where they had the Big 12, is like a gigantic you can put the Statue of Liberty inside there and lay it down flat and still have 50 feet or whatever. Too, it's gigantic. It's eighth wonder of the world.
When you're in that stadium, they do it in.
Inside.
So they're doing it actually inside the stadium.
On the field. They have a big stage built up, and then Radio Row is down in the end zone or whatever. And then they have the various ESPN rooms or in the meeting rooms. And I think they've actually got 6 locker rooms down there because they have the state high school championships there in Texas, which is great with the weather. You never know in Texas, third week in December. So they play even the 6-man football. They have the field set up for the 80-yard field down there or whatever. So it's a monstrosity. But yeah, you're right. They've got 3 or 4 people on call. They've got about 6 people, sound people and internet people on headsets down there on the in the end zones, and just praying that everything works. And they, like I said, they do tests on the day before the media day start and just make sure the lighting and everything else, because that's the scoreboard you've seen at AT&T Stadium with 300 feet across, whatever. So they've got to make sure that don't have any power outages or internet or Wi-Fi failures or whatever. So it's quite an extravagant. It really is.
Yeah. Well, when you're there, so you're out there on a stage in that cavernous dome that's Jerry's World. But Dallas Cowboys fans and fans of all NFL teams and sports, period, that's a $6 billion franchise, I think. I think when Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys in 1989, I think he got them for $167 million.
I think that's right. Had to borrow money from 3 friends.
Yeah. So, but he's always up there with his tie on going, nobody has finer facilities than the Dallas Cowboys. And, I love the Cowboys. I grew up a Cowboys fan. Tom Landry and Dick Vermeil are still my mother's favorite 2 coaches of all time. And 2 playoff wins. They got their first one on the road against Tampa Bay, I think, last year. But that is the NFL. Look, in the state of Texas, I talked to Ken Capps up there. I know he's up in New York this weekend with his daughter, he said. And yesterday we had technical difficulties. Even Mildred couldn't figure that one out when you leave your backpack with all your gear in someone's car in Nashville. And we went and got that yesterday. And by the way, driving up there, thank you, Oakley, great kid. Had a friend of ours, young son, who was a rising senior in high school and is wanting to go to school at Auburn. Absolutely a football and sports junkie, great kid, plays high school football at NBA in Nashville, starting wide receiver. And again, I won't say this. I was really impressed, Bo, by the people that we interviewed, the student athletes at SEC Media Days. I was telling Eddie Murphey. Eddie and I have known each other since kindergarten here in Memphis. He's evolved for life, and I'm going to tell you something. We're going to talk about the Ed Murphy Track Classic here in just a second. And I was telling Eddie yesterday, just listen, you can look from 100,000 feet above and give an opinion of what's going on in media days, what's going on in our society with people and all. I've remarried now, have a 4th kid, 2 boys, 2 girls, Hallie Wilson, Max and Mallory. They're great kids. They're all self-sufficient. They're great. My son Wilson told me several years ago, he said, Dad, it's not the kids today that are the problem. It's a lot of the parents. We got great young student athletes, great young people in this country. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a Tennessee fan, you got to love Joe Milton. He even knew when I asked him about growing up in the muck. I said, what's it like growing up in the muck in Pahokee? And he looked at me like, how the hell do you know about the muck? I said, I got Buddy Martin and the Gator Bay media guys on every week. But he said, man, growing up in a small town, we had a Dollar General, a snack and grab, and a barbecue joint. That was it. He goes, and you learn to work at a young age. But I was really impressed. And again, folks, you got to Herb Vincent, Chuck Dunlap, those are 2 people. Obviously, Commissioner Sankey. The SEC is as big as it is because it has people that care. Eddie, thanks for joining us this morning. Eddie's in my business, Bo. So all of us are ADD and OCD if we're in sales because we start with a 0 out to the side of our name the first day of every month. Eddie, highly motivated. And Eddie's in one of the greatest photos. I think, Eddie, you were in that photo that Boyd's got of y'all's high school cross country team coming across the finish line, locked in arms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the perfect score of 15. But Eddie, you have a passion. Your father passed away 7 years ago, and you started the Ed Murphey Track and Field Classic. We were talking about track and field at the beginning of the show. How this thing gets started again? Let people know how they can get involved, because I love track and field probably more than anything.
That's awesome. Good morning, Bo. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. It's good to see you, Eddie.
Nice to meet you, Rob. Thanks again for having us on, man. It's always an honor to be able to talk about the our past, our history. That race that day of the five of us finishing first through fifth, pretty cool. I'm not sure if it was SBEC or who it was. I'd like to have said maybe it was like Frazier or Brentwood Academy, but it surely wasn't that caliber. But it was a great day. A lot of fun.
It was a win.
It was a clear win, that's for sure. Yeah. So, this race, we're in year 7. Rob, Dad passed away in 2014, and there's a lot of, man, I tell you what, it's a lot of things have gone right. We've been blessed, with things since my dad passed away, and you try to look back on it now and go, how in the world did we get to where we are? It's just it's bigger than us, bigger than me for sure. Just kind of following the breadcrumbs of somebody that like my dad, who he spent his whole life trying to lift the profile of track and field athletes at the University of Tennessee. And now for us to be able to have the platform now that's been created to lift the profile of track and field athletes, not only at UT and the SEC, but in the United States and around the world, is truly an honor to be able to do that. Just to be able to find, and your eyes are opened every day when you look at what's going on around in the world of track and field. Like today, there's a huge meet in London. There's 14 Diamond League races that are $4 million to $14 million budgeted events a year, and one of them's tonight in London. And I got to meet the guy that runs the London meet when we were invited to Zurich last year for the final Diamond League meet, because a couple of these agents that I met at my meet said, man, you are doing some special things here. We want to teach you how to grow a meet in America better. So come to Zurich. And, to go over there and watch what they're doing in Zurich, and their budget was $14 million. It's just insane.
Yeah.
And so to be able to bring some of that stuff back to America, and,
not track and field meet,
reinvent the wheel, but just bring it back here and say, you know what? Yeah, for a track and field meet. Imagine that, 14 million. I got to meet some amazing people. Ronaldo Nehemiah, Skeets, guy that ever broke 13. He and I talked this week. He's Sha'Carri Richardson's agent. I mean, can you imagine everything that Sha'Carri's been through with all the things she did in the Olympic trials? To have somebody like Skeets as her mentor, I mean, that's a pretty good fallback, because Ronaldo Nehemiah is one of the most stand-up guys I've ever met in my life. And not only did he break 13 seconds in the first guy ever in 110 hurdles, pretty good stuff. But yeah, so my dad passed away in 2014. He is given the Ed Murphey Award at the University of Tennessee since 1965. He ran in the late 50s, All-American, captained their first SEC cross-country championship. They never broke 4 minutes there. That was the era where, they were on cinder tracks, and he was running 4:02, 4:03. I mean, they were sniffing it, right? Never got it.
Yeah.
Bo, Rob, I was sitting there thinking last night about a story that we went down to see Tennessee play Alabama, and Dad and I drove, and he drank about 12 Budweisers.
But not driving, of course.
No, I drove, he drank. And we went by the track. We went by the track at Tuscaloosa, because we played in Tuscaloosa then. It wasn't Birmingham. And we drove by the track, and he goes, those MFers never beat me.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. And he said it
Eddie,
in a respectful way,
Oh, yeah.
Very respectful way.
Well, listen, Eddie, this is Kevin Scarbinsky, also on here with us, longtime sports writer for the Birmingham Lede, recently inducted into the Basketball Writers Hall of Fame out in Houston. And Kevin and I were up at Media Days all week. I've known Eddie since kindergarten. He's putting together This is the 7th year of the Ed Murphey Track and Field Classic. And I'm just going to keep Eddie on a few more minutes after the break. Eddie, I know you got a lot going on this morning, but Kevin, the growth of track and field, and kind of put this in perspective when we come back, Eddie, how big it is. But you went by that track and field complex. It's funny. You know, I'm an Auburn guy. My dad's Auburn grad and architect. Back in the mid-'70s, we're down at the beach one time. He goes away for a day and a half to Tuscaloosa, comes back and said, "Where you been?" He goes, "Paying for this trip, boy. Don't ask stupid questions." He met with Coach Bryant and Sam Bailey, who really ran the athletic department. They brought him into Tuscaloosa, and he designed the tennis complex and the track and field complex, which is now called the Sam Bailey Track and Field Complex. Mm-hmm. And I said, "How'd you get that job?" He goes, "Alabama doesn't have a college of architecture." Any more questions? It's just a strange world. And then you and your dad are driving by there. But look, we're going to be right back. College Roundtable on a Saturday. I'm going to tell you what, we are 42 days away, folks. 42 days away. If you're doing the math, that's 1,008 hours away from kickoff, if anybody's keeping track. We'll be right back. And it is a great day. Yeah, it is my birthday. I didn't forget. I just focusing on the show here. But, man, Eddie and Kevin and Bo, y'all are both national writers. And you are, you know, you're looking at Eddie. Tell them real quick about, again, tell Kevin, let's go over who all is going to be in town, the dates of it, how people can buy tickets, how they can get involved. Because we without track and field, speed is the you've got to have it. Everybody does speed work. Now, you can't take Fat Albert and turn him into a sprinter, but he can be a shot or a discus guy. If I'm a football coach like Bobby Austin, who, you know, followed the legendary Jake Rudolph at MUS, they hadn't done spring practice at MUS since 2001, but they won 4 state championships and then 4 or 5 runner-ups. They tell them do lacrosse, track and field, or both. But I want to get this going because this is going to turn into, in my opinion, Kevin and Bo, Memphis is going to become the center of the universe, like what they're doing in London and Zurich for America.
Yeah, just real quick. So I'll tell you, so this is year 7 and the world. So you've got the Diamond Leagues that we were talking about, those 14 races around the world. And then you got the World Athletics that basically ranks you every year based on your performance. And you have these World Continental Tour, you have gold, silver, bronze, and challenger races. And of course, when 7 short years ago, we started with just one race, bringing some kids in to break the 4-minute barrier. Some guys want to honor my dad and name it the Ed Murphey Mile. And so we brought in 7 runners, Eric Avaya, Craig Ingalls from Ole Miss, super guys running again. Both of them are running again this year. And they were like, they broke it. There was 2,000 kids around the track. It was just an amazing moment. And then the kids, a couple of athletes stuck around. They went to Beale Street, did their thing, and I happened to meet them at the airport the next morning. They were like, "Hey, Mr. Murphey, we're heading off to go to Ireland. Then we got to go to Zurich. Then we're going to go to Brussels, and we're going to go to Dubai and Doha. And there's very few races in America. Would you put another one on?" And I was blown away that, you know, they've been having a really good time in Memphis, and you could tell. And that was their way of going overseas to sleep on the plane, you know, just to have a few cocktails. But they really wanted me to have another race, and it got back to me more and more. And so I went back to a couple of people. They said no, they were a lot older guys, my dad's age. And but I reached out to this guy, Max Paquette, and he was amazing. His wife happened to be an Olympic runner, or she tried to. She made the Olympic trials. And one thing leads to another, and we start a race. And next year we're a challenger. And we had like 6 events, and then the next year 7 events, and then COVID hits, and we make it through COVID. And we're one of the ones where we're like making sure the athletes, we're doing Max, we're like the odd couple. Remember the odd couple back in the day?
Oh, yes. One was a sports writer, I might add.
Yeah, that's Oscar Madison.
I was more like him, I promise you. Than the other guy. But it's awesome because, I mean, he is so in depth and in tune. And actually, he's He's a professor at the University of Memphis in health science, exercise science. He's from Canada. He's actually turned down from Canada the Olympic. They offered him a job at the Olympic Committee up in Canada to come help run the races up there. And he's turned down a job from New Balance. He said, you know what? I want to stay in Memphis and do what we're doing because something cool is really happening here and a lot of momentum. But we're 7 years into this thing. Last year we had this year we got 331 athletes signed up at this moment, 87 Olympians. 12 of them are either have won a world championship or an Olympic medal, and from 37 different countries. So it's really taken off. We've got, and we have youth races around this thing too. So we've developed a 501c3 right here. We're the only nonprofit in the United States where we don't make any money. The only people that make money on this thing are the ones that are the coaches that are coaching our inner city kids. And we're taking the camps and the inner city kids of Memphis to them. We're in some areas of Raleigh, Egypt, which need it very badly, desperately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's 35 areas that we've identified that we want to be in over the next, if we can continue to grow this thing and I don't screw it up, and because really the track meet is the carrot for all this to help our inner city kids, to grow and to get exposure, get the discipline, get great coaching, mentorship. Wherever we can go with that. We're still kind of painting that painting, but to get back to the track meet, this is going to be something special. We think that with the caliber of athletes that we have coming in this year, we think we could be possibly. We finished fourth in the world last year, fourth in the United States, and 27th in the world based off the World Athletics, how they calculate the rankings. And our goal is number 2 in the United States and top 15 and. One of those 14 Diamond League races that I was telling you, as I was talking to Paul Doyle, who runs the American Track League, and if he's not the number 1 agent in the United States or in the world in track and field, he's clearly top 3. And he said Lausanne over in Switzerland is on notice that we may kick their tail this year, and which is really cool because Sebastian Coe, when he came over, and this year the Prefontaine Classic is the final meet of the Diamond League race this year, which is huge for us. It's never happened on American soil. It was in Zurich last year, and the budget was $14 million. It's September 17th through the 19th this year, and Sebastian Coe put it on American soil because he said, you know what? We have to lift the profile of track and field in America between now and 2028 when the LA Olympics come to our soil. And with that fateful morning with those athletes at the airport, I had a head start on a lot. We had a head start on a lot of people. I mean, we're trying to break the door down, break it down, and lift these athletes.
Eddie, Kevin, I went last year to a dinner called CoachSafely.org that Kevin and Coach Jack Crow, Dr. Andrews, the orthopedic, the best in the world, in my opinion, and people in Birmingham, CoachSafely.org. It was at Vestavia Hills Country Club. Absolutely packed, standing room only, incredible event. Kevin, you don't just cover football. You don't just cover basketball. You're all about Birmingham and making it better. He's from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Eddie. Came down here in the early 80s, graduated from Troy, and his first job as a newspaper guy was to go one-on-one with Patrick Thane Dye. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
And Bo Jackson as a senior.
That was fun. But
that was a challenge.
Yeah. But yeah, Kevin, you've heard him talk about track and field. You look at a city like Birmingham. I mean, can you imagine what Eddie said it? They were having the kids come out to Christian Brothers and MUS, but they're now taking it back to them. Can you imagine? I hope you can make it to Memphis and see this event, but Birmingham, Memphis, Nashville, all these cities, track and field growing, what that will do for sports.
Oh, well, Eddie, first of all, congratulations on what you started, what you accomplished, how much you've grown it. One of the things that Coach Safely talks about with youth athletes is play multiple sports. Mm-hmm. Don't specialize when you're 8 or 9 or 10 years old. When you get later into high school, at some point, if you want to pick, if one sport is your specialty, that makes sense. But as long as you can, you should play multiple sports. And if you're a football player, and if you're not playing baseball, which obviously is in the spring, You should compete in track and field because, as you said, Rod, there's so many different areas that you can compete in. If you're a big guy, a big person, you can compete in the field events, shot put, discus, what have you, javelin. I mean, there's so many opportunities there, and it just improves your athletic skills. It is. I got to tell you guys, I had the privilege of covering the 96 Olympics in Atlanta, and being in that stadium, all of the events were, it was the first time, it was a once in a lifetime experience for me to be at the Olympics. But I still can remember that 100-meter dash, the buildup, the anticipation, the electricity in the stadium, and it's over in the blink of an eye. But I mean, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I think Donovan Bailey won the gold that year, and Michael Johnson, of course, from the United States, won the 200 and the 400, which is an incredible double. But the passion there, the enthusiasm, the excitement. And it's a great opportunity to get out and get active for kids. That's why I love, Eddie, that you're including kids in what you do. I think that's fantastic.
Love it. We've got sitting here looking at all the races we have that are kids races. We've got 8 different races for kids, that start the morning of our classic. And actually the 100-meter dash, we've been on ESPN the last couple of years, and this year we're moving over to Peacock, NBC Peacock, and we do the prelims in the 100 meters for the men's, the girls and boys. And then the finals, the final 8, we got 8-lane track at Rhodes. We do it smack dab in the middle of the presentation. So they're on national TV and on YouTube, around the world. So it's pretty cool for the kids to get that experience. And then after the meet, we have this thing called the Puma meet and greet, where my wife makes a painting. And then we make a poster and give it all to the kids, and then we give them all a selfie, give them all a little marker, and they go take selfies and get autographs with them. And then the athletes tell the kids what they did to stay on the right track. As my sister, keep our kids on the right track. And my dad was a huge St. Louis Cardinal fan. 40 years he had season tickets, and following those breadcrumbs of what
fanatical Eddie. He wasn't a fan.
Yeah, he was a fanatic. Well, Neil McDonald, who lives in Memphis, part owner of the Cardinals, came on this year in a big way. And, when he gave a very nice donation to us, knowing full well that we want to do it. And he says, Eddie, I want to take this blueprint and I want to go around. Not only will we want it to be successful in Memphis, but take it to other places like Birmingham. It's interesting you'd bring up Birmingham because Skiers Marine, they're the largest Mastercraft seller in the United States. They just opened up a store on Covington Pike. And I had a boat 2021 that I bought a boat a couple of years ago from them. Got to know them. They're very Christian. They feed 1,000 kids. They feed 50,000 kids a year at Birmingham schools. Is that beautiful? And they're coming into our race. And I went over there yesterday and I was picking up the poster for my wife that she created to give to the kids. And their store was like 200 feet away. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I just called Chad up and I said, hey, Chad, you there? And he goes, yeah, I may put you to work. But I went over there, just talked to him, and I met his dad, Christian guys. They just want to give back. And they're very big in Birmingham. They're all over the South, but it's interesting you'd bring that connection up. Good people.
Yeah. I mean, Bo, what about getting this out in Dallas? I mean, track and field growth. I mean, my God, the Metroplex, I must add.
Hey, we got Sha'Carri Richardson right down the street. She went to Carter High in Dallas or whatever too. And Michael Johnson's still very active over here too. Ed, you probably see he had a stroke about 3 or 4 years ago. He's doing a lot better, but he has a performance area out there in McKinney, Texas, and they train. Kevin, you're probably familiar with this. They train sprinters. They also work with a lot of NFL and college kids on speed, where they'll get the parachutes out and the long rubber bands, Ed, those resistance running or whatever. But one of the nicest, there's not a nicer guy. And Michael Johnson was fortunate to work in the Southwest Conference. We was at Baylor, and just a class individual all the way. So I mean, it's big.
One of my proudest achievement in track and field, I didn't compete myself growing up, but I helped lead the campaign to get Calvin Smith inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
Of course, Calvin competed at the University of Alabama. Yes. He won Olympic medals. Yeah. He held the world record in the 100 for a time, in 100 meters.
Yeah.
And I believe he was in the 88 Olympics. And that was the one where doping, I think, really came out, and a couple of guys that finished. He was I think he won the clean version of the 100 meters that year.
Yeah,
at those Olympics, but terrific individual, and he did get inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, and it was richly desered.
Well, Eddie, y'all remember a guy in the early 80s out of, I think it was out of Albany, Georgia. He ran for Auburn. Stanley Floyd was a great runner. And I don't think he got to go to the Olympics in 1980. But Ambrose Rowdy Gaines didn't get to go in 80, but he came back in 84. But again, Kevin and Bo, y'all are connected with writers around the country and around the world. I remember the lead up to the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. I was a TV reporter in Columbus, Georgia. One Sunday morning in August of 1990, they're going, Browne, get over to Callaway Gardens. Prince Philip from Monaco. I go, that's South of Macon, isn't it? No, it's coming over here. And so I go out there and I meet Prince Philip, and I did not curtsy, nor did I bow. I shook his hand. Nice guy. And just they were scouting for the Olympics in 96. And every time I'm in Atlanta, which is a lot, Centennial Park and all there, Eddie, what you're doing is, like you say, raising the profile for the Olympics in 2028. And we're going to let you go. Do this before you go, because I love this conversation. Let people know how they can get tickets, the dates in Memphis, and we'll be bringing you back on here again this week. But track and field is your insurance policy for every sport you play in life.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rob. So you go to edmurphyclassic.com. It's Murphey. We're Friday, August 4th. The event's going to be on Peacock from 7:15 to 9:30. But I can tell you, with so many athletes coming, we're doing a lot of pros are coming and just running in an open event. So we'll start at 4:00. Kids races will start around 2. That's Friday, and then it'll go all the way really probably until 9:30 is when it goes off the air. But we'll go to about 10:30. We've got you can have beers, you can have a cocktail, we got jumpy castles for the kids. It's be a great experience, a lot of fun, because that's the key, y'all, to track and field is we had the 27th best race in the world last year, and all 400 people that showed up for our race last year. And I mean that kind of sad, because that's where we have to get this thing to. We've got to really raise it where we get some people in the seats to see what these beautiful athletes are doing, And really the thing that took off last year was we moved the pole vault to Beale Street last year.
That's great.
So that was amazing. We bought our own track. Now we're using it. We actually did a youth pole vault clinic at Kirby High School, which is another area you want to go to. And there's only 2 African-American women that ranked in the world. We brought them in to teach our kids. They're awesome. It was an amazing experience. You can see it you can go to edmurphyclassic.com and look at that videos on there. Puma's done a great job with that. We found there was 55 kids. We found 7 kids that were absolutely crushing it. We're actually helping those kids with further training, as long as they want to do it, so there's a lot of great things. But Beale Street, August 5th, that's we added the road mile, the Murphey road mile down there. So it's community races for kids, adults, whoever wants to run. Then they can watch the pros run, men's and women. Starts on Beale, finishes on Beale. And then you got the women's pole vault starting then, and then you got the men's at night. And it's just, everybody's having a good time. People walk around going, what is that? I've never seen it before. It was pretty fun, but I appreciate it.
Eddie, you don't half-ass anything. I love you. I love what you to Memphis. We'll go to Rhodes College. I'm going to be out there. Audrey's going to see the mother-in-law. I'm going to have to miss that trip. But anyway, I'm going to the track and field deal over there at Rhodes College. But can you imagine the synergy of connecting the Metroplex of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Carrollton, Texas, where you actually live, Birmingham and Memphis, making that the apex of track and field? If there's 2 cities that are real close to each other, and then Memphis is about 7 from Dallas, this is the time to do it. Eddie, thank you so much. Bo, Kevin, hang in there. We're going to be right back. Eddie, I'll talk to you this week. Thanks again. Nice. Sidelines continues. Track and field. Yes. Eddie, thank you a million. That was awesome. Be right back.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4 City exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. easy to work with, and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, Rob Browne back here with you. And I'm going to pull up a picture here. Kevin and Bo, y'all remember that. Look at this. This is an old picture of a full house at Neyland Stadium. And you notice they hadn't completely bolted in. That was given to my wife, Audrey. Her dad got that years ago from Johnny Majors. And, you know, I think about what's going on in this track and field project, what it can do for a city. You know, we spend a lot of money on a lot of stuff. Some of it kind of silly, but putting tracks into a neighborhood, it improves the value. I mean, my dad as an architect always says, boy, good landscaping can overcome a lot of architectural sins. And I agree with that, as can location. But, you know, this event is going to be over at Rhodes College, and our good friend Matt Dean's going to be right out there in the middle of it, who's on every week, associate AD over there. But you think about bringing how Eddie does it. I've known Eddie all since kindergarten. I mean, he's a doer, man. I mean, he's a bond sales guy at First Horizon. He's been doing it since 1986. It's the way he is. He doesn't half-ass anything. But Bo, you think about what's going on in Dallas. You mentioned Michael Johnson, some of these people. When you travel around the world, and y'all have all traveled a lot, the most recognized, Harvey Grant told me this one time. He said, it's crazy. I can be in an airport in Zurich or Beijing or Jakarta, Indonesia, and I'm getting autographs and pictures. People know the track and field people. And isn't that cool? I mean, they know football players, but they don't know them like the swimmers and the track and field people, do they?
You know, in soccer,
I believe that to be the case.
And you got, Kevin's probably watching. In fact, Kevin, I thought you might, pardon me, I thought you might be at the British Open.
Are you there? Okay. Hopefully I think we're having some internet issues. Kevin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. You got me?
Yeah, we got both. Yeah.
Kevin, are you there, Kevin?
I am. Bo, you can hear me. Rob, you're not getting me. Bo's getting me. Rob, you're not getting me.
We got you. Yep. No,
Kevin,
I got you.
Kevin, I know you said that you covered the Olympics in 1996. And Bo, you've covered these things, but would you? I don't know if we're having technical problems or not. We got a lot of power and internet issues. TV off here now, but Kevin, if you popularity, the rock star status of the Olympic athletes still are.
Rob, you're going in and out on me.
Might be on a delay. Bo, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay,
we got you.
Bo, chime in here if you can. And Kevin having some issues. Yeah.
I'm going to sign out and sign back in, Rob.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm hearing you. We're just having we've had two massive storms here in the last few days, and so it's been very, very difficult. But go ahead, Kevin.
I think he signed out, but he's coming right back or whatever too. But Rob, you're exactly right. I mean, these
Kevin, can you hear us? One miss.
Yeah. He just signed out. He's signing back in. Yeah. Rob, can you hear us? I can sign out if you need me to. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, we're back here with you, and we're going to bring Kevin back in with us in just a moment. And Bo Carter, here is everybody experiencing some technical difficulties. But it's interesting to me when we were talking, and we're bringing in Larry Gautier of the Orange Bowl Committee, Bo Carter, Kevin Scarbinsky be back on with us in just. But we've been talking a lot about track and field and its popularity and all. College football, obviously, we're 42 days away from the start of the college football season. And Larry, welcome to Sidelines. This is Kevin Scarbinsky, longtime writer for the Birmingham News, on here with us. Now the Birmingham Lead, CoachSafely.org. Bo Carter, formerly with Mississippi State SID, the Southwest Conference, Big 12 office, National Football Foundation, Baseball Writers of America. Kevin, Larry Gautier from the Orange Bowl Committee is on with us now down in Miami, but we've been having a few technical difficulties. Larry, I know you've been through a hurricane or two down there in South Florida, but we've had two massive storms. I think 200,000 people without power and air conditioning in the Mid-South. That's a lot of pissed off people. That's customers. That's probably 500,000 people. But anyway, had an interesting discussion in that first hour about track and field and college football, SEC media days. Larry, the Orange Bowl, iconic game. I grew up with it. I was at Auburn with your younger brother, Bobby, and your family is just what you do in college football. South Florida resonates all over the country. But let's talk about your bowl game and the future of college football. You had Mr. Bill Hancock on the show with us Wednesday. He's as optimistic as can be, as I am.
Good. Well, Rob, thank you for having me, and
Larry,
Kevin and Bo.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to get your thoughts about. We're going to go from that. Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? Rob, can you hear me okay?
I think we're having a little bit of an issue here with delay. Larry, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay. Well, first of all,
I
Rob,
got you.
Rob,
We're
thank
just
you for
having some
having me.
technical issues.
Okay.
Bo is kind of frozen there. Kevin is kept. Yeah. We got you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Anyways,
Larry. Let's get to talking about
well, thank you for having me, Rob, and
About
Bill and Kevin. Thank you
the
for
Orange Bowl and the future of college football.
Okay. And thank you all for having me on. Obviously, I'm sure as Bill mentioned to you, and I'm preaching.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Preaching to the choir, but a lot of changes going on, as you all know. A lot of things that are reported in the media, a lot of things that are not being reported in the media.
Glad to do it.
This change that we're going, the next round, which starts in 2020.
Yeah, Larry.
Yes.
I'm not sure what's going on here. We got a Blue Jay on the line or whatever it is, but yeah.
Do you want me to turn my video off? Maybe that may help. I don't know. Can you hear me okay now? Do you want me to sign back in, Rob? Want me to try to sign back in again and try it that way? Kevin, can you and Bo hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming through fine.
Yeah, I think it's just Rob.
Yeah, I hear you, Larry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah,
I think it's on. Yeah, Rob, I think it's on your end.
Yeah, I think so. Did we just throw the host under the bus? Is that what we just did? But so I guess I'll keep on going. But anyway, you all read the same thing we are. You obviously were just up with SEC days with Nashville. We had some folks up there. The 2024 next year obviously is a whole new ball game for everybody. It looks like pretty much we're going to go to an NFL model.
We got
you. It's going to be an NFL model. The challenge, and I think the first step that they're trying to work out is the TV contracts. That drives everything. Obviously,
no. That you're
go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I think there's just a little bit of a delay again. Yeah, we got. Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
No, it's. I think there's just a second delay, so just keep.
Okay. So basically, they're in the process of trying to negotiate.
I hear you. It's good.
Okay. The TV contracts, number one, that's going on. Two is obviously there's an overlap with the NFL in those days as well, which is a challenge. So I think, and on top of that, from a bowl perspective, it's when you start having this playoff system and expanding the number of teams, which we're definitely going to, then the question becomes, how many games are played at home? How many are played utilizing the rotation of the bowls? From a bowl perspective, we're not sure what the financial impact is going to be, because how many times are fans going to travel from point A to point B to point C? So there's ramifications there. So I think the ideas have been thrown out, but now they're focusing on the detail and the ramifications of such. Obviously, the bowls, once the contracts are set and the dates are set, and they have some more substance, then I think we're going to have a seat at the table at some point in the very near future to talk about what that's going to look like, the rotation, so on and so forth. Clearly, the national championship game, where it was a rotation, is now going to be a straight bid. It's just going to be straight up money. Obviously, I'm not sure. We have an 80,000 person stadium, but I'm not sure how that compares with Jerry Jones and his 110,000 person stadium. So you have some differences there. But long and the short of it is that we have for over almost 80 years. Our whole thing has been about hospitality, about tradition. about a reward system for the teams. We feel that's extremely important, not just for the teams, but for the fans, for a job well done. Everybody can't go to the Orange Bowl or the Sugar Bowl or whatever, but some of these other bowls are just as important to that fan base and those programs as anything else is. So we have been very strong in advocating, as our other bowls have been, to retain that platform as a reward system to the teams and their fans. We feel very strongly about that.
Kevin, jump in.
Yeah, some of my favorite bowl memories are coming to South Florida and covering a variety of bowl games there, going back to Notre Dame in Colorado and Rocket Ismail and the Blockbuster Bowl when Alabama played Colorado and David Palmer put on a show. David Palmer from Alabama, one of the most electric football players I've ever seen from here in Birmingham.
Sure was.
He was outstanding. But the great thing, and that's why bowls are important, because as you said, Larry, it creates a great experience for the whole traveling party, for the players, the staff members, and the fan base, and for us in the media. You guys do a great job of providing hospitality for us. There's such a great variety of things to do. Some of my favorite memories from a personal perspective were taking my family with me to a lot of these bowl games. And so, the kids could go to the Miami Zoo. There's so many different things you can do. And it needs to be more. And I fear where this might go, we're going to get away from this, that it's going to be all about the game. Yeah. It's going to be in and out. It's going to be the game is the thing. It's a playoff. You're going to lose some of that special experience that you get when you go to a bowl game or when the bowls are a part of the playoff.
Yep.
Yeah. And Buddy Martin's on with us now, Larry, GatorbaitMedia.com, longtime sports editor, New York Daily News, Denver Post, St. Petersburg Times. And Buddy, small world, I was the pledge brother with his younger brother, Bobby Gautier. That guy was a lot of fun. I started my first of 6 years of college. I was redshirted twice. One more year, I'd have been a doctor. But Maury Gaston made the connection here. Maury, I call him the Merv Griffin, the agent, the connector. But Buddy, we have a few technical difficulties here today. I know I was driving back the other night from Nashville. I'm losing track of the days because, man, we were going nonstop. But it's all working out. Hey. Tough times don't last forever. Bad internet doesn't last forever. But great guests do. Thank you all for your patience. And, man, we got a great one going. Buddy, jump in here with Larry Gautier talking about the Orange Bowl and the future of college football.
Well, that's about a broad spectrum. Good morning to everybody. Larry, Bo, Kevin, and the great Rob Browne. Rob, what a fantastic job you did for us on the Buddy Martin Show as our correspondent. At media days, our guys were out sick, couldn't make it, and you were on, I think, 3 or 4 nights he was on, and did a terrific job. And I want to thank you. Later, I sent you a picture. If I just got it there, I want to put it up because I want to make a presentation. We'll do that later. But let me respond to what you said, Larry. I go back to the Orange Bowl was in my beginning of life. It was back in the days they didn't stuff the football and wear leather helmets. But I remember sitting in those stands and watching a game. I saw Alabama, Oklahoma. I remember I saw Joe Namath going trying to score on the 1 foot line. I saw so many great moments. That was kind of my Yankee Stadium, if you get what I mean. When I grew up, going there for the big games, the Super Bowls, whatever. Fantastic place. I remember they used to close the press box for all this. And there'd be 3 guys left up there, and turn out the lights. And there was a wire fence there in the back. You had to climb over it. Except it had barbed wire at the top. I would rip my pants trying to climb out of that thing with my big old typewriter, staying there. So many wonderful memories at the Orange Bowl. I saw so many great games there, from Super Bowls to games. It was just a wonderful experience. And I remember when I wrote the column on it, about saying goodbye to the Orange Bowl because with so many memories. So, those are things, Kevin, you're right. It is a total experience to go to a bowl game. What a wonderful thing that was. There were great parties, although we didn't get to partake in many of them because, Kevin, we were working usually at night. but it's a wonderful emporium of football, one of the great venues of college sports, for pro sports, everything. And it was magical to me as a young reporter coming up. So I would like to see a way for that to be preserved. I don't know. Rob and I are preservationists. We're trying to see if we can save the world. We're a little bit short on money right now, but we're trying.
Hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. I love this conversation. We were kind of frozen there for a few minutes, getting a lot of comments from people. A lot of people know all of y'all, and they're loving this conversation. We got through the internet. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. Browne here. I feel like Belushi and or was it Dan Aykroyd in the movie? Golly, when he was talking about Orange Whip. We got the round table. We got at the top
Blues
Larry
Brothers.
Gautier. Blues Brothers. Yeah, I'm throwing a blank. I tell you, all this internet issues. The air conditioning's out over here. We've had so many storms, and eventually it will get working. But blowing hot air on you, it kind of makes you a little bit delusional. And I'm intermittent fasting as well. Bo Carter, Big 12 office, National Football Foundation, Baseball Writers of America. Kevin Scarbinsky, great writer, Hall of Fame basketball writer, the Birmingham Lede, and now his new newsletter, Scarbo Knows. And Buddy Martin, legendary sports writer, gets better every time he's on here. But look, I'm going to just kind of be here in the cockpit. Y'all just bounce this thing around because I don't want to get in the way because, number one, I was causing the internet issues on my end. Y'all were rolling. So we got all this stuff worked out, but as they say, y'all wax eloquently about college football, and I'll listen and offer commentary a little bit now and then, maybe even some pictures of Mildred in a bikini on the beach or something.
Well, hey, I'm going to share a story and tie the weather and the Orange Bowl together. And you guys know, and of course fans know, one of the things that made the Orange Bowl unique for a long, long time was the halftime show.
Yes.
And the halftime show, it was spectacular.
Yep.
Ernie Seiler.
It ran kind of long, and if you were
Kind of long.
a reporter working on Deadline, you weren't necessarily a fan of the halftime show.
Yep.
So one year, and Larry, you'll probably know the exact year. It may have been that one of the Notre Dame Colorado game, but there was rain during the day, a lot of rain. And an announcement came in the pregame press box that said, due to the inclement weather, the halftime show has been canceled. And for the first time, and maybe the last time in my career, I heard a cheer go up throughout the press box. We were going to get a little extra time on Deadline because we weren't going to have to wait for the halftime show to be done.
I think it was the Notre Dame Colorado game. I think you're absolutely correct. If that was. Yeah,
we always, when you're on Deadline, Buddy, and Buddy will back me up for sure. Every minute counts, so you appreciate those extra seconds and minutes that you could steal, even if the fans were deprived of the halftime show that night.
Ernie's, just as a fun fact, Ernie's grandson, Jack Seiler, is still on the committee. He was our past president a couple of years ago, so he and I are very good friends. But the Seiler family is still well represented, no question.
Yeah, many great nights. I think I was there. That was the Rock and Ishmael game, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, they kind of run together, but there were some wonderful times. There were wonderful people in the press box, not media box.
Not media box.
And all my buddies like Eben Pope with the Herald, John Crittenden of the News, Hubert Meisel, who later worked for me. You talk about a quip fest. These guys had some of the funniest lines you never heard during the game. It was so much fun, but it was hardworking bunch of people. And to be in that venue for those games, it was big time. And so, yeah, you're right. The Orange Bowl was a wonderful event. And I just getting back, if I may, for a second, and Kevin, you could jump in on this too. I don't know the future of the bowls. I know they matter, But one of the problems we got now, Rob, we talked about this on my show this week, is in the name of progress, we're throwing out a lot of things. I mean, just it hit me like, okay, no more divisions in the SEC. Sounds like a small thing, but then you say, okay, that's gone. What else is gone? What else changes? And progress is progress, but sometimes progress is going backwards. And be careful, because you don't want to mess. Like right now, they're talking about rebuilding and redoing the swamp. And we're down here talking about, okay, look, don't take away what it is. There's even a plan out there that if they don't get what they want, they'll move it to down the road. You can't move the damn swamp. There's no crying in baseball. I mean, come on, you can't do that. And so we talk about progress and what's the name of our town, Rob? Smallville? No, what is it? What is it?
You're talking about.
You're the mayor of it. I hope you remember the name, for crying out loud. Simpletown.
Simpletown. Yeah, Simpletown, USA. You're the mayor. Well, I'm the mayor, but you're the sports editor, and it's $1 a year for the newspaper.
Right.
Right now people still stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and hold the door open for ladies, and they don't belch in public at the dinner table.
So I'm a preservationist. I understand we have to go to 12 teams and that, but there's still a good core of teams out there are there for the celebration of football, and we've got to find a way to. I mean, maybe there needs to be like another playoff or something for those teams, like the NIT. NIT is not great, but hey, it's still good basketball. So I just want to see those bowls somehow preserved in some fashion, because they're part of our culture forever. And like Kevin just said, you go back to our roots, man. That was something, getting to go to a bowl game. So, and the Orange Bowl, they can call the Rose Bowl the granddaddy all they want to. I think the granddaddy to me is the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, well, appreciate. But you know what, gentlemen, one thing, and you all can relate to this, that we've seen it, is you talk about traditionalists. We're very much traditionalists, and a lot of the bowls are, just for the reasons you talked about. But one of the things, I guess, is just a matter of father time. Is I'm going to name some names that you all know extremely well that brought a lot of wisdom, shall we say, discernment. I like to use those words because they're cause effect everything. Like the Bob Bowlesby of the world, Bo, that you knew very well. Big 12, Jack Swarbrick,
Steve Hatchell,
and Jack Swarbrick, who just retired, and Bob and Mike Slive, and all these other folks that basically brought a lot of wisdom and basically said, hold on for a second. It's not just about the money. They brought some thought, some traditionalism, some advocacy for the things we're talking about. But as time goes by, ESPN, believe it or not, had some folks up the top of the food chain who were trying to retain some of the guiding principles. Worked very hard on that. But as time goes by and those folks retire, you have a new breed of cat coming inbound that basically thinks a different way. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It just is much more difficult to move that needle or keep the needle where it was in that traditional fashion. I don't know how you all are seeing it, because you all interface a lot more than we do, but that's kind of what we're seeing.
Larry, that's a great point. And as you say, some of the new blood, if you're coming into the commissioner roles in different conferences, and some of those folks don't have college football backgrounds. And look, they're accomplished, they're intelligent, they'll have great ideas, and they'll bring things to the table. But things can get lost in terms of connecting with history and the past and the things that built college football on the incredible foundation that it has. The Pac-12, I think, with Larry Scott, obviously made a mistake. That was, again, thinking that they needed new thinking. That didn't turn out very well for the Pac-12. And Nick Saban said this years ago as the discussion of a playoff before it was implemented. And he was concerned, and this is what I appreciate about Nick, is certainly his primary concern is Alabama football. But he sees the bigger picture as well. And he predicted, and it was a pretty easy prediction to make, that when the playoff got here, the focus, the attention, the column inches in newspapers, the discussion on television and radio was going to be so much about the playoff that it was going to blot out the sun. And so we were going to forget about the UABs of the world, the Samfords of the world. Samford just won the Southern Conference with Chris Hatcher. UAB has had great success under Bill Clark, bringing the program back Now we're excited to see what Trent Dilfer does there in the AAC. You know, Jacksonville State with Rich Rodriguez, Troy, my alma mater, and the good things they've done there. You know, there's a lot more to college football than those handful of teams that make the playoff. Mm-hmm. And I hope that we don't forget about them, that they don't get overshadowed. And that's the fear as well. If you go to Power Fives only playing Power Fives, then those guarantee games that pump so much money into the budgets of the UABs and Samfords of the world, what becomes of them then?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You know, one thing, it's funny going back. I'm a big believer in cause and effect of things, and one thing, you all know this perfectly well because I'm sure you've been to those games. But the Big Ten historically for years and years and years had a traditional 12 noon kickoff, 12 noon, and then obviously ESPN came up with a great idea of going ESPN Plus. They pushed the start of the kickoffs back earlier an hour so they can kind of get on TV, get that TV revenue. Well, guess what? You all have written about it, I'm sure, heard about it. The Big Ten, yes, they may be getting additional TV revenue, but if you look at the attendance figures at the Big Ten, they have dropped off the face of. They're dropping because now you're bumping into Saturday morning soccer or other traditional type of things that the family does, and they're not going to the game because of the time frame. So when they did that, they didn't think about that. So there may be additional revenue on the TV side, but they're losing it in regard to the stadium and so on and so forth. So, and to your point, Kevin, I'm not sure these folks have thought through. You know, obviously you have the playoff system, and then you have the NIL, and you've got the transfer portal, and you've got a perfect storm of everything kind of coming together and losing focus on what college football is all about. So.
Well, you know, I like what you're saying here. People still remember bowl games. My friend Harold Grader, I was with him all week, the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I've known Harold since high school. He started, you know, pulling cable and wire for Big Jack Eaton in high school and was a sports anchor 15 years. Now he works with Steve Earhart. The one thing was Doug Dickey or Haywood Harris at Tennessee that said, tradition never graduates. And my interactions with these student athletes this past week at Media Days, damn, I feel great about the future of college football. I'm going to find excuses to win, and we have got to fight like hell to preserve what we got. But when I got to talk to Kingsley Egaquin, the Florida Gator football player, I was standing right there with him. I said, "What about NIL? What do you think about that?" He said, "Well, honestly, you know, I mean, I get my degree from UF, and his nutshell, you know, Cliff Note version was, I think that's kind of a silly reason." He goes, "You know, the money's great and all like that." He goes, "But you're right. It's about the relationships when you come back." And the guys that you went to the Orange Bowl with, I mean, I know people who've been to the Orange Bowl, went 40 years ago, that still talk about it. I was there August 31st, 1988. I had just graduated from Auburn, and I'm down there with Kenny Hazlett and his brother, who was the deputy DA in Pinellas County at the time. We went fishing out in the Keys. But by God, we went up there for that Florida State Miami rematch, you know, from the year before. It was called Unfinished Business, and Miami beat them like 31-0. But the coolest thing about going to the Orange Bowl was, and I've been speaking Spanish since I was a kid. Thank you, Miss Rudolph. We learned Spanish in kindergarten, and I was able to negotiate and get into the stadium. And my friend Joe Pipkin was the official in that game, and he had left my tickets for me at the hotel there in Key Biscayne. And of course, we got to drinking some road sodas out there and forgot to pick up the tickets and had to buy them from scalpers. God, that was awesome going to the Orange Bowl, and I still remember it. And it was an incredible venue. I don't give a damn where they play the game, but I like what Shug Jordan famously said one time. Football is a game to be played on natural grass with a kickoff at approximately 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Miss Evelyn, would you agree? I mean, we can't always have that. I call the 11 a.m. kickoff in the Deep South the timeout game, buddy. If you're playing the 11 a.m. game at the Swamp, it's like the old Westerns when they peeled your eyebrows off and buried you in the sand out there in Comancheria, and the sun took care of business from there. If they move the Swamp, then the world may fall off of its axis.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely the end of the world. By the way, Rob, you complained about the technology. You explained how you got to that ball game. half loaded with no tickets. That's the technology ain't nothing, man. You've overcome that a long time ago.
That's right.
You get there if you can, to quote the Alita Adams song.
Hey, buddy, that's what you call a manual process.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I knew
Yes,
that guy. He played for Mexico at one manual process. Anyway,
As Bill Murray once said, baby steps. Rob took baby steps.
yeah. Hey, I want to get back to Kevin. You said a line a while ago. I think I'm gonna write a country song about it, Kevin. Thinking that they needed new thinking. That was your line. That's a perfect country song. Thinking I need new thinking. But look, the Orange Bowl. I remember when the Orange Bowl started the runner-up bowl. Everybody heard the runner-up bowl? That was the two teams that didn't make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They played that every year, and they had some great games down there.
Right.
There are ways, if we want it, and that's the question, to preserve this stuff. I was just thinking out loud, like, if you haven't got a game, go get 2 Pac-12 teams. They ain't going to a bowl game. We'll get them to play down there, Vote the teams that should have gotten in and didn't. Etc. They're the ones that are eliminated from the championship. I'm a big proponent of the you all know my shtick about. I've been campaigning for a playoff since forever, and I predicted, not that I'm Nostradamus, but I did say 30 years ago they need to skinny up the college football and play the top 60 teams and let them have the playoffs and so on. So I didn't mean though to throw away the rest of it. So we've got to find a way, either in Simpletown, Rob, or someplace, to preserve, as you said, the traditions. We have so many great ones. And back to Igakwe. Rob, you scored pure goal. You have that picture, by the way, Andy. You scored pure goal. Rob did a fantastic job for us. I don't say he stumbled on this story, but Igakwe is the offensive lineman. Kingsley is his name. And I've never actually interviewed him. Can you hold it up closer? Yeah. All right, that's my Emmy. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you. This is my gift to you for what you did at what a fantastic. And that interview we had, we replayed it the other night, and I believe we had you, me. Who else was on that?
Allie Peak Wilbur.
Allie Peak Wilbur was on that.
Yeah,
and we replayed the interview, and actually what he said was that among other things, look. I don't want to be. I'm not here for the money. Okay, these guys who say they're going to get a gator and then go down the road for $5,000, let them go. We don't want those kind of people. We want to be where you are. I came here, by the way, he's a very good student for an education to play for the Gator. I'm a Gator through and through. And either you're a Gator or you're not. If you don't want to play, you're go someplace else. It was so refreshing to have someone say it's not just about the money. How many times have we said that on this show? It's not just about them. It took a 20-year-old kid or 20, however old, to remind us of that. And Rob, that was pure gold.
Well, I mean, I'm always my speech for everything I do is Pat Sullivan's acceptance speech for the Heisman in '71. It's not just one person. When you step up here, it's an entire group. I just love helping out, because don't ever forget to go back and help people, because along the way, there are a lot of people helping you. You can't be a great running back without a great offensive line. Remember what happened to Burt Reynolds in the longest yard when they knew he was throwing the game? He got ghost blocked. He got crushed. But all of y'all, this is the thing. We're going to take a quick break, come back for one more segment. It's been a wild morning. We've been a lot of technical issues. We worked through them. But the future of college football is in the hands of all of us. But the young people, they're being discredited. There's a lot of great stories out there, and y'all are the ones telling them. We'll be right back to do it after this.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, Rob Browne back here with you. Got a great round table going. And want to say something real quick. Harold Grader, my friend, executive director of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, sent this Memphis Touchdown Club. Wherever you are, join the Touchdown Club and the Quarterback Club. You know, in Auburn and Alabama have that. There's nothing like the Monday Morning Birmingham Quarterback Club, 2 anchors. And you know what they do? They compete, in my opinion, Auburn and Alabama and all the other alumni of different schools that are in that club. It's all about who can do the most charity fundraising, children's hospital, you name it. But join your local Touchdown and Quarterback Club, okay? And they have a website, but it needs to be updated. But the speakers that are coming to the Touchdown Club of Memphis this year, starting Monday, August 28th, Tony Barnhart, Ryan Silverfield, Clark Lee, Zach Arnett. They got a whole bunch more came back in the spring. And we need to get people, all of y'all would be great speakers up there. But join your Touchdown Club. And also RumbleBoxingGym.com, sponsor of this hour, 1835 Union Avenue in Midtown Memphis, across from the Walgreens at Union and McLean. Open every day of the week, 45-minute classes. That's what a 15-round, 3 minutes each, 45-minute prize fight heavyweight is like. Now, most of Mike Tyson's fights went about a round and a half because they put those tomato cans out there against him. But RumbleBoxingGym.com, proud to have him as a sponsor. Check him out on our website, RumbleBoxingGym.com. So I'm going to throw it back to y'all,
Hey, Rob,
whoever wants to jump in, because this is
Rob,
solid gold.
Can I jump in real fast? I want to plug my quarterback club.
There you go.
It is actually one of the, it's a fine outfit. Been around for 58 years. Our captain is a former SEC official, Mike McGinnis.
Yeah.
Does a fantastic job. He books are booked up solid for 11 weeks. Matter of fact, we're going to get some names on there you'll recognize over the next couple of weeks, and I'll have them on my show. Ben Troop is one of them. Ben Troop will be joining us to speak. And this is a group of about 100 people that get together once a week for a meal to talk football. It almost died out about 7-8 years ago. We rallied, we had a pulse, and we came back and doubled the attendance. And it's such a wonderful venue. The youngsters got to go and learn about this. This is where I learned football growing up as a youngster, went to the quarterback clubs. Amen. Touchdown clubs, quarterback clubs, join them, support them. They do great things. Among the things we do, we pick out the most outstanding young man and football player in a 5-county area after the Scott Brantley Trophy. And then we pick him out every year. And we've had some wonderful people and young men. We've honored them. We've honored Scott. So please support your local Touchdown Quarterback Club.
Hey, let me throw this. Let me jump on that, buddy. And you never know what you might hear at a quarterback club or a touchdown club.
Yes.
I love speaking to these groups. I was speaking one year at the Gadsden Quarterback Club in Gadsden, Alabama, and heard the best and most frightening ad lib I've ever heard. They were introducing guests of the members, and one of the members had a father-in-law, some relative from New England. So I was the guest speaker, and I was coming up next, and I was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to play with that. So when I got up, I said, as many of you know, I'm not originally from Alabama. I'm from Pennsylvania. So I'm glad to see a fellow Yankee in the audience. And from the back of the room, a voice boomed out, "Damn, we only brought one rope."
Oh my gosh. Brutal.
Hey, I'll tell you what, along the line, it's supporting their touchdown and quarterback clubs, and Larry and Bo and Kevin, and buddy, you know this. It's what you do at the bowl game. You're there for a week. And I remember my friends at Auburn go to the bowl. When you go to St. Jude Children's Hospital or Children's of Alabama or wherever, you touch so many people's lives. So, you can sit there and say, oh, this game doesn't matter. They all matter. Every single game matters. Because, those are somebody's kids that are out there playing, but volunteer too for these bowls. That some of the best business relationships I have to this day were forced, from quarterback or touchdown clubs or tailgating. Look, I want to win every game, but when you go there and you spend time with these people telling the stories, you can't get back to tell some more stories, and they get better as time goes by. Larry, you know this, and I appreciate you staying on with us long because I have heard so much about you. Wesley Duncan sitting there saying, is it hot enough for Larry down here in South Florida? He says a heat index of 108. Look, it's going to be cool here today. We're having a cool spell in the low 80s, but it's been heat indexes of 115 up here. And I am over at the farm right now, right outside of Memphis. We're surrounded by flooded rice fields with mosquitoes the size of golf balls that knock on the door. And they're like oil wildcat drillers. But anyway, I love this discussion. And Bo, you know, Larry, and we talk about the Orange Bowl and Kevin and Buddy, you go to these games. And again, the Liberty Bowl last year had a great crowd, about 55,000. Arkansas and Kansas went to triple overtime. And Memphis had a big storm. They'd lost power. Yeah. There was all kind of stuff in social media. Toilets wouldn't flush. Wow. That we didn't have running water or anything. But you know what? Football fans are very myopic, aren't they? They showed up. We had a great time, drank some road sodas, and had a driver, Cedric the driver. But anyway, it was a great time. And Larry, You've heard what we've said about the bowls. Are you as optimistic as we are about the future of college football? Because Bill Hancock certainly is. And I said, I hate that you talk about retiring in 2 years. Costco and buy an extra tartar sauce. Too much coffee, or as Lane Kiffin called me, Red Bull boy.
I am optimistic. I'm not sure how it's all going to look like, but I am optimistic. Just a couple things from what you all said. Number one, preaching to the choir again, is Orange Bowl. It's in our mission statement. We're all about hospitality.
Yeah.
Win, lose, or draw, everything we do is obviously whether you win or lose, that the teams, the players, the media, everybody had a wonderful experience, during that week down in South Florida. That was true back when we started 35. It's still true in 2023. Obviously, we really focus on those special events. And quite frankly, gentlemen, you've mentioned it. It's all about memories. It's all about creating positive memories for the long term. And hopefully those memories, quite frankly, will continue to kind of be at top of mind to folks like yourselves that will continue to tell the story of how important the bowls are, which leads me into a comment I want to make to all of you all, and I mean this. Orange Bowl is very active. I'm not sure it's public, but we are very active in regard to strategic relations. We have always been involved. We have 300 members, probably 150 active. Of the 150, there's about 100 of us. I've been on the committee for 25 years. We're very big on relationships. College presidents, college commissioners, the media, college coaches, ESPN, you name it. We are constantly, it's almost like a big lobbying effort to remind all of these folks of how important the tradition is. And where I'm going with this, gentlemen, is that your voices count, because I can't tell you how many times I have been traveling around this country talking to different people, and the media, especially folks like yourselves who have a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, a lot of stories, and most important, credibility and integrity with the higher ups, because you've been there, you've done it, you speak logically from a chair of importance. I would strongly encourage you in your personal world, as you see people, to advocate and continue to tell the story, and also with those spheres of influence that you all have, because quite frankly, if we don't have that, the only voices that these people at the top are going to hear are the guys who want to talk about the money. So I would encourage you all, what you're doing is very important. I'm not saying that because we're on the call together today, but it is important, and your voices are extremely important to be heard, and would encourage you to continue to fight the fight, as Rob was saying.
I mean, I love Larry. You got to come back on more often. I mean, Maury Gaston recommended you, and I got to tell you, all of y'all know this, that it matters what people do. But these young kids that are out there, I've had enough of the people trying to broad brush all of them as just a bunch of greedy. They want money. And there's a lot of. I mean, I got kids 23 to 34. Okay, 4 of them, and they're great. I mean, and you know what? You go to a football game. You expect your team to play a full 60, by God, stay the full 60, okay? And you're a fan no matter what. And And I met a young kid who's 17 up in Nashville, one of my son's friends this week. This kid, man, he got to see some of the media day. Kevin, you met him, Oakley. That kid,
Yes,
he's
very
off the
impressive.
walls.
Yes.
Also, he was like, wow. I mean, 17-year-old. So if you think that the future of college football is in trouble, the fans, hey, he goes to a game, he stays the full 60. And Larry, thank you for saying that. Bo, Kevin, buddy, whoever wants to jump in, but you got to be back on here more often because I love it. Hospitality. What about that? Treating people like you'd like to be treated yourself. What a novel concept for a lot of people.
Let me jump in real quick on this because Larry Wall was a friend of mine.
Larry Wall's a great man.
He was, God rest his soul, been over 2 years now. He's been dead, but he was formerly with the Yankees. But he was the kind of guy that we talk about SIDs or lack of. They've got people at schools now that masquerade as SIDs. Who would be runners back in my day. They'd be runners, and the idea that most of them seem to want to keep things out of the paper instead of helping you get things in the paper or whatever it might be. So I just want to remember Larry Wall is one of the great ones. I've known a long time, and we miss him. One other thing about touchdown clubs, and I'll get out of the way here, is that one of the great moments for me. Anybody ever heard the name Freddie Russell?
Yes,
legendary Freddie Russell. Freddie Russell came to my quarterback club when I was a sports writer in town. I was supposed to take him out for a drink before the thing was there, and so he took me to lunch to a drink, and we talked. And he gave me a copy of a book which I had forevermore called "Bury Me in an Old Press Book."
Yes,
I've still got that book.
I love it.
It's a wonderful book, and he had one great line I'll always remember. Kevin, talk about the great lines. He used to tell the story. He said, "Well, I went down to he went down to Birmingham the day, and I was speaking to this quarterback club, and he says I thought I was doing pretty good, told a few jokes, and did okay, but the next day I picked up the paper and surprised to learn I wasn't such a big hit. There was a line that said." Freddie Russell was the oratorical equivalent of a blocked punt.
Buddy, one other one I've got to tell this on Kevin real quickly. I know, Rob, we're short on time.
No, we're keep going. Wax eloquently. I love this.
The Gadsden touchdown, little sidebar that Buddy will love. And Rob, you know this from there was a lady named Emma Sampson, who's like the hero of Alabama Civil War history. She was called the Paul Revere, Kevin. She was from Gadsden. She rode a horse through Gadsden and Anniston and said, "The Yankees are coming, the Yankees are coming." during the Civil War. That was perfect. Kevin was the Yankee in Gadsden that night.
That was me. That's still me, except now I'm a damn Yankee. And you know the difference between a Yankee and a damn Yankee? The damn Yankee comes and stays.
I'll tell you about Kevin. Kevin, you've been down here in the South way more than you spent growing up in the Northeast. In Pennsylvania,
yes,
as they call it in some places down south, Pennsylvania, that's an ER on the end of it. Pennsylvania is, you got Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. In between is the state of Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi, just like Central Florida. But we're glad we got you. We're keeping you. We call you one of our own. And all of y'all are saying this about these epic. I remember after a touchdown club meeting in Memphis one night, Beano Cook was the speaker. And, oh, my God, he's like, any of you guys want to go downstairs and have a pop? I mean, like, pop? I mean, he's from somewhere in eastern Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, I think Pittsburgh or whatever.
Yes.
And we were down there till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And again, and off the record is off the record, but it's just the stories that he told. I mean, it was just priceless, and nobody asked him about Ron Paulus, at that time. He's going to win 3 Heisman trophies. But, these great orators, as Buddy said, when you are around these people, every word they're saying.
Beano Cook clipboard. That's where that was. I keep my clipboard right here. I say, Beano, don't forget you got so-and-so. He said, it's on the clipboard. Don't worry about it.
It's funny you say that because, we travel a lot, obviously, when we start to identifying teams back in the day about who we want to come down the bowl. And quite frankly, we would spend a lot of time with the media and with the fans, doing tailgating, because you all would tell us. about matchups of how the fans would react if you had playing this team versus that team.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, that's how we did the intel, is that we talked to you all and the fans, say, look, if you played such and such, if you recall, way back in 2002, true story. You talk about the SIDs and the sports writers or whatever. Some of my favorite trips when I would go travel, and this case was out to Iowa back in October 2002, when they started to pop up on a radar screen. Kurt Ferentz first came in. Phil Hattie was the SID back in the day. I'm sure you guys knew Phil back then. But anyway, I was a young pup back then, but going out there and they started to pop on the radar screen. Bottom line is he took me out to dinner with all the sports writers from that area. What a hoot that was. I mean, oh my gosh. And every time I travel, I always go, I didn't want to go to dinner with the coach or the president. I want to go with the sports writers. I want to go with the beat writer. You guys are the fun group.
You find out the truth when you go out to dinner.
Oh my God. Anyway, but that, if you recall that game, 2002, I went out there and I really didn't want to go to Iowa City. I don't go to Iowa City. I want to go somewhere else. But I did. I'm glad I did. And that is when, as you recall, that was the matchup where we had USC.
Yep.
We basically had the Rose Bowl in Miami for the first time, Iowa versus USC, and it never happened before. And because we went out there and kind of got the feedback of the stories and the memories, these guys you had the Rose Bowl in Miami for the first time. And we had 48,000 crazy Hawkeye fans packed the stadium. But you get this kind of intel in these stories from basically talking to the writers and the fans and those kind of people. And they wanted to come down to South Florida. They'd never been here before. Yeah. So anyway, you never know.
Well, unfortunately, we're about out of time. But Bo Carter, Kevin Scarbinsky, Buddy Martin, Larry Gautier, Eddie Murphey on earlier in the show with us. But this is what you love about college football, is these stories, these relationships, and the people that are driving college football are on this show today. So thank you to every one of you and our listeners, our sponsors, whatever. But we'll figure this stuff out. I mean, people didn't think we'd survive substitution, no more platoon football, all that stuff. We wouldn't survive integration of college football. Coach Dye said it best. Nothing brought people closer together than football and sports in the South and around the country. And you talk about going to Iowa. I remember that Southern Cal Iowa game. Pete Carroll, my God, this guy, Larry Munson about Herschel Walker. My God, a freshman. Look at those thighs. You think about this. And, Martin, what do we got? All right. Well, Larry, Georgia just having a hell of a time trying to stop this Florida running game there. All right, that's enough, Lauren. 86 seconds left. Hunker down, you dogs. My God, sugar falling from the sky. And it just, Larry Munson, you know what people say? He was a homer. Who signed his damn paycheck, folks? The University of Georgia. I love Lauren Smith, that man. In the last couple of years, he's been writing books about Georgia's national championships, and he's been holding up in a writer's community of St. Simon's or Sea Island. I'm like, what a terrible place to have to write books and stuff like that. But every one of y'all, thank you a million for coming on here on this show. Larry, we got to get you back. Bo Carter, Kevin Scarbinsky, Buddy Martin, everybody. This has been a lot of fun. And catch the Buddy Martin Show, Monday through Thursday nights, 9 p.m., Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere.
On YouTube now. We're on YouTube now, remember.
Good.
All right. And Kevin, tell them how they can follow you.
Yeah, Birmingham Lede, LEDE.com. Get my columns there. Or you can subscribe to my newsletter, Scarbo Knows. Go to my Twitter, @Kevin Scarbinsky. There's a pinned tweet. You can click the link, sign up, $5 a month. Get everything I write for the Birmingham Lede. And I hope you'll enjoy it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and Larry, again, the Orange Bowl, Bo, you're out there in the Metroplex. To me, college football is like a great bottle of wine in a cellar. It just gets better with time. Let's don't drop it. Let's don't break it. We'll figure it out. Hey, everybody, we're out of here. We will see you Monday morning. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.